All right. So thank you so much for being so patient. I left you voice messages about the insanity. So I just want to just make sure that we've got your last name hidden. You know, this goes on YouTube. Well, you'll be seeing this on YouTube. So let's jump in, why don't we? First of all, one of the beautiful things of having like a large gap between when someone signs up and when I do the reading is that I forget every single little mini thing about the individual. And I make it a point that, like, for example, when I just went and sent you the voice messages, I made it a point not to even look at your photo or like look at our past convo, because I know that that can remind me. And I like to do my readings completely objectively, because if I see a photo of you or hear how you speak, in my own way, it kind of feels like cheating. I mean, you could have the argument that, like, yeah, and for a while, I was like asking people for photos. 1 second, put some water in my tea kettle. But then I realized, you know what? Instagram is fake. Photos like don't really show everything. The chart shows everything. So let's jump right into this bad boy right now. I'm gonna go ahead and share this screen. And you're not going to be able to see my face for a little bit, but you are going to see the astrology. And also, I want to actually, before I do that, I want to go to my notes just to double check that there weren't any special requests regarding like some people like are like, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. Usually it's just, I just talk about what I see. Now, where is my list? It always moves. Here it is. Okay. Okay, yeah, I had nothing written down, so perfect. So anyways, let's go ahead and hit share. There's my desktop. All my astrology notes. All right, so this, unless you are at a high level of astrology, even if you are, you'll probably be like, what the fuck is this? Oh, shit, I shouldn't say that F word for YouTube in the first few minutes. Not that my account's probably too small to pick up on that, although I don't know how it works. But anyways, okay, so I have like some of the main asteroids in here. I'm gonna remove some of these in a second. But yeah, in essence, we have a Gemini rising. The rising sign that keeps someone looking young. And you being born in '93, you probably look very young. I have friends. I have multiple friends who have Gemini rising. My girlfriend has Gemini rising. She's young, but like I have multiple girlfriends who are in their mid-30s and they look like they're 25. And it's not like they're like going crazy at the gym. They're just eating good, taking care of themselves, staying active life, whatever. Gemini rising stuff, moving around and whatnot. But they look great. Their skin looks great. Like it just. And the reason is that Mercury, which is the planet of youth, it rules your chart. So after that, we have Sun at 3. So you were born on 25th of June. Okay, 3 Cancer. And the Moon at 8 Virgo. Okay, so the first word that comes to mind when I see that the combination of those two planets, or two signs, excuse me, for Sun and Moon is, well, it's very motherly, it's very nurturing. If I had to pick two signs, if I was like, okay, I want to design the perfect mother, or the perfect nurturer, and of course this nurturer can also be in a relationship, right? It can be in a business. It can be Yeah, in a business partnership. It can be in any area of life. It would be Virgo Cancer. Of course, you know, Virgo Moon can have its difficulties, but yeah, we'll get into those in a sec. So that's the Sun, the Moon, Cancer, and Virgo, which has a very clean relationship, and then Gemini rising. So you have air, water, and fire for your big three. And then we're wondering, is there any, wait, water, air, and earth. So whereas the fire, is there any personal planets in fire? You got Mars conjunct Moon in Virgo. Ooh, Mars and Virgo. So we got okay. I gotta be accurate. I know all about Mars and Virgo. So what's interesting is that your North Node is in fire. Your North Node's in fire. And you know, I think I've been thinking about these readings, and there's no way for me to, like, for the YouTube thing. A lot of people have not complained, but they've really just wished I could have the chart up, and I've tried to figure it out. I can't. So if anyone watching figures out how to make it so I can have the chart up and then my face up, because, you know, I do these readings, put them on YouTube for many reasons. You know, one, it means it's never gonna get lost. Like when I email it, like I had lots of issues with people losing their readings before. But also, you know, people are able to watch the readings and learn. I always like prayed, you know, and there's only one astrologer, the peace dealer, who did this. I always looked all over YouTube, like when I was like really like even still, like if I see someone that posts like full readings, I would love to watch those, you know, because it's the best way to learn. So that's me kind of, you know, being North Node Aquarius. But anyways, yeah, I'll probably leave this up for the first few minutes and then just go back to my face. So at least people can, like, if they really want to have the chart, they can screenshot it. They can kind of have it in their head. And let me take away all these astros. Let's just see if there's any like big conjunctions. Okay. And there's a lot more asteroids we'll go into a little bit later. All right, so let's go here. Let's clear these out. Okay, so this is really like what, you know, the main chart is going to look like. So okay, let's start with Sun and Moon. Is you know, I have my own personal style. I'm completely self-taught in astrology, so you know, this is my way of seeing things, my way of doing astrology. And I like to focus on what's most obvious, the big picture. You know, Sun and Moon. To start, right? The relationship between them, how they work. I think of them as a ship where there's two captains, right? A ship with two. I just came up with this. I like this. Maybe I'll keep this. It's like a ship with two captains. And they both have steering wheels, right? Or whatever you call a wheel for a ship. And the question is, are they both going relatively the same direction, or is one going straight while one's going right, or one going right while one's going backwards? So these are important questions. So specifically with this, like I said before, you have a sextile. And if you saw one of my recent posts about some of the most beneficial aspects in astrology, you would have seen Sun, sextiles, or trine Moon, which you have, which means that metaphoric ship is going in one direction. Because Virgo and Cancer have a lot in common, right? So Cancer Sun, I mean, I never really need to go that deep in the Sun sign. I drop little pieces of it here and there, and I suppose that anyone, you know, getting a reading from me would have known a thing or two about their Sun sign, considering that that's like what's pushed the most. But yeah, obviously Cancer in the second house, you know, it's going to be a lot about, you know, it's going to make someone very emotional, very, very connected to the family, very you know, they can have issues with vulnerability in terms of once they put themselves out there emotionally and get hurt, they can really have trouble trusting again. There can also be a certain level of repression, even though it's such a sensitive sign. It can be so sensitive to its own detriment, and that can, yeah, so that can be something that I've noticed. But if we look down here, this part that says elements, there's literally 0 for fire. So that's super, super key. Like we don't even have any. I mean, we have Chiron in fire, but that's like not, you know, an active personality, and there's no fire houses. So but what's interesting is the only fire point is the North Node. So, and the North Node is conjunct the Descendant. So basically, what that's saying to me is that in this light, in fire is about passion. It's about activity. It's about like third chakra energy. Like I can do it. You know, like it's about you know, risk taking, having the idea, living life like in the fast lane kind of, like not in the sense of being like impulsive in a bad way. It's passion. It's what burns, right? It's what ignites. You know, the Leo energy. It entertains. It helps elevate other people. And you know, fire can do a really good job of crawling itself out of ruts. So when you lack fire, there can be issues with self-starting, issues with passion, and you know, it's very important to try to figure out ways that you can. I'm gonna go back to my face. I think the chart. I'll bring the chart back up. But it's very important to search for ways in which you can bring that passion to yourself. You know, the first step to any, you know, to lacking anything like lacking any element is just the pure wisdom, or the pure awareness that you lack it, right? That's like the first step. And then the second step is about basically just pushing yourself to do things that help create the fire. So some ways you can do that are pushing yourself to take risks, right? Pushing yourself each day to do one thing that maybe in your mind, in that Cancer imagination and intuition, sounds like, you know, fun or like it sounds like adventurous, right? And just saying, you know, I need to go towards this. So especially when it has to do with philosophy, because your North Node's in the most philosophical sign of Sagittarius, which is about traveling philosophically, and then also traveling physically. So, you know, one way to do this could be traveling. And I know like several travel YouTubers are Cancers, right? Cancers this it's kind of like Virgo, which you have both of them. So interesting. Like I didn't realize that as I said that. I've noticed this phenomenon with both of those signs, where you have this kind of like, my hair is, it's fine. You have this like mainstream depiction of like what both of these represent, but I've seen so many Virgos that are just so un-Virgo. I need to close this. And it's been the same thing for Cancers, right? And I'll tell you why. So in astrology, a lot of times we can act like our opposite sign. The opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces. The opposite sign of Cancer is Capricorn. Very, I mean, it's the same. It's like a line, the spectrum, right? So it's like it's the same. Like this is Virgo, Pisces, Capricorn, Cancer, right? So it's like you can be on different areas of that spectrum, of that line, right? Imaginary line. So sometimes, yeah, it can make Virgo people like be very like kind of like in their imaginary realms, you know, very, very dreamy, and they kind of can go back and forth between this, you know, you like we can all like kind of go back and forth between like the sign we have and the opposite sign, right? But I've seen this especially with Virgo and with Cancer, because I've seen so many Cancers. Like I say all the time, like so many like the richest people in the world are Cancers. It's a cardinal water sign, so you know, cardinal means like enterprising and self-starting. So it's like it is a very interesting energy. But yeah, and also like to make the lacking fire even more difficult, having Chiron and Leo, it literally means that at some, like you have some kind of, not necessarily trauma, but there's some kind of spiritual pain around expressing your inner child. That's another thing that fire is all about. It's about the inner child, right? And there's some kind of, so there's something that may have happened that made it like I always think of it, you know, and this might be like you're a Virgo, I'm a Pisces, I have a Pisces, my Mercury's in opposite. No, we have a trine with our Mercury, so maybe it will be a good understanding. I kind of talk in metaphors. I always think of it like a garage door, kind of, right? But the one from Star Wars, that one, I don't know what like the old Star Wars. It's like I forget where Han Solo's frozen, whatever. But there's this door that opens to like give me the password. And basically, like, that's kind of what I think about when it comes to the creativity and the inner child and the free expression. And it's like basically like kind of a door shuts down, right? So it's all about going within and figuring out ways to open that up. Let me get some AC in here. And what makes it so Chiron and fire in the third house, you know, third house is also communication. It makes me think that was probably in the realm, and just get this going. There you go. In the realm of speaking your truth, right? And I see this a lot with my clients, right? I see this a lot with clients who, you know, they grew up and they were just different. You know, they had different ways of seeing the world, and they ultimately just didn't really. They didn't really I guess like people saw them as like weird, or you know, the way they spoke or what they spoke about, what they were interested in. So they at an early age kind of, in this case Leo, like shut down that ability to be a child and just laugh and be free flowing and not worry what other people think. So then you add the Virgo Moon to that, and the Virgo Mars, the most analytical positions possible. You know, Virgo Moon is looking, it's so the moon sign, in my opinion, is the most important part. I'm starting to think that's more important than the sun. I mean, we could say it's like 50-50, but I don't know. I just think it's so important because it literally dictates like what it makes us happy, right? What it takes for us to feel comfortable. So Virgo, Virgo moons, you know, they need life to be in a very kind of structured environment where there's predictability. You know, they definitely focus on having their day-to-day routine be one you know, that's consistent, that's really giving back to them. And you know, when it comes to partnerships, they're not going to be interested in someone who is kind of all over the place, right? Because the moon sign is very, very important for romantic. In the way I do astrology, it's very, very important for romantic implications. I even have like a series on my Instagram, like the emotional need of each moon sign, or the romantic need of each moon sign. And yeah, for Virgo, it is definitely about you know, having someone who has the same standards of, I don't want to say just organization, but just like they're not gonna want, they're gonna want someone who's serious, right? They're gonna want someone who's serious. They're gonna want someone who is like, you know, who's strained out. That's a good way of saying it, right? So yeah, Moon and Virgo, it's interesting. I've seen some also, like from a mental health perspective, Moon and Virgo can create anxiety. Because like, you know, the Moon's the emotions and Virgo is over analyzing, right? It's such an analytical sign that it can fall victim to two things: over analyzing and ruminating, and perfectionism. And when you have Mars in Virgo, it's pretty much surefire that at some point in your life, and by the way, I should start this chart. Maybe I'll start my charts by saying you are not your chart. Your chart is meant to be overcome, if you want to think of it like that. So, you know, I want to give you pointers and encouragement of how to overcome some of the more difficult parts of it, right? But no chart is is impossible to overcome. So yeah, Moon in Virgo, like yeah, what I was gonna say before I dove into that about perfectionism is that they can really feel like a joy, like when they're like taking care of their family, or like running errands, like straining out the details of everyday life. You know, when they have their smoothie in the morning, their meal prep, whatever it is, you know, that's consistent. Like they like that. And not all of them though, because it's so funny. Because like I've seen like Virgo moons who just like even Trey, my podcast partner and best friend, you know, he is like that to a degree, but he also like understands that and sees it as like a limitation to his like full spiritual growth. So he's kind of moved away from that, like if that makes sense. But it still always comes back, you know, like the guy has a freaking calendar on his computer of like meditation and 7:30 a.m. to 8, like this and this at this time, this and this at this time. So it's like you can only, you know, he's a double Virgo though. But yeah, so they can, so, and also like in terms of like love language, I think Moon and Virgo, like they you know, this would be also like really like just Virgo in general. You have Mars there. They tend to like really love to do things, like show their love by what they do, as opposed to like I love you, which, you know, maybe the Cancer part will be a little bit like that, but you know, they want to be recognized for the things that they do, right? Even if it's just like surprising their partner by, you know, reorganizing something at the house, right? They want someone who's gonna be like, wow, you did all this, and like notice all the little things that went into it, and this and that, right? Also, you know, Virgo is about being of service. I think of Virgo as a white dove. That's like the metaphor that comes. I think of like how a white dove is white, it's perfection. Not that white is perfection in like, you know, racism like terms, just like the idea of like a blank slate, right? A white dove, you think of like perfection. That's what I think of when I think of Virgo. And so there's the impurity, it's another word, right? So they tend to be service providers, and there's, you know, a lot of a need, there's a large need to emotionally assist other people. And a lot of times it's like they're doing this like a for example, like when I say like the emotional need to assist others, it'll be like, I don't know, like doing physical things for like people in need, and as opposed to like maybe like a water moon of that sort, like where it might be like more of like a psychological, which they can be like that too. But yeah, with the perfectionism, you know, the thing I tell everyone, I have to say, even if you've heard it a million times, Mars and Moon Virgo, the 0 or 100, black and white thinking, they are their own worst enemies, Virgo, when they are unable to, when they're so rigid and they hold themselves to such high standards. I always say this. Virgo thinks, a lot of times Virgo thinks it's here and thinks that other people are here. This is usually when they're younger too, and you're young. And they're very like, oh, you know, I'm gonna fuck up this test, and they get like 99%. And then, but like, in reality, they're here and other people are here. Not to be like, you know, like to rate people in that way, but just as a metaphor. So it can be difficult, and that's a very Piscean trait, right? To not be able to see yourself clearly, which is the opposite sign. So the perfectionism, the way to heal that is to just learn to laugh, you know, it's to learn to just kind of let go and understand that there's no way you can be perfect, and to understand that being a Virgo moon and Mars, you're going to be someone who has like very astute observation skills, and who sets themselves up for like having goals and ideals that are literally impossible to get to, and that inevitably you will be disappointed when you don't get to them, which in the end is going against one of the main goals of Virgo Moon, which is efficiency, right? But also, let's talk about more of the spiritual side of Moon Virgo. It's I always think of it as earth magic. Um, Earth magic, maybe like working with potions, or doing ceremonies. You know, because they're such on it type A people. They you know, they can be very good organizers for like you know, events or something like that. You know, And also, yeah, cleanliness is next to godliness for Virgo Moon. And so is health. Health is super, super important. Exercising, eating right, all that. So yeah, it's very, very, very big on details. So I guess I would challenge you to think about how that has been a good and a bad thing in your life, and maybe in our follow-up you can tell me about that. I think you got to follow up. I didn't see the list, but whatever. Yeah. So aside from that, yeah, there's definitely a magical side to Virgo. A lot. I've heard other astrologers say the same thing, where they're like, Virgo is just that one sign I can't pin down. Like, feel good. I don't like really like watch that many of his videos. Nothing against the guy. I think he like I've seen some videos of him where he's done amazing. That guy's a Virgo. You wouldn't really think so. You'd think like, oh, he seems like a Pisces or or whatever, Aquarius or something. But no, he's a Virgo. So yeah, it's a very interesting, mysterious sign. But yeah, you have to really just watch out for the neuroticism, and it can be very hidden because it's the moon. The moon is more hidden than the sun, right? So Virgo suns, like, they know that about themselves. So Virgo moons, it can be a real challenge. So yeah, like just like with the anxiety part, just like meditation, and it's an earth sign, so there is a real groundedness to you, but just like taking a minute to breathe and to sit with the energy, to let everything flow, and to be present, and to kind of tune into your emotions, because there can be a tendency to mercurialize, which is like I guess because Mercury is so cognitive, right? There can be a tendency to, instead of tapping, to kind of use logic instead of like when you're like to talk about emotions, as opposed to like actually like diving into the emotions themselves, which are energies. So yeah, like kind of understand the limitations. Also with anxiety, just having like being active, and figure out something that can take away, if it's running, whatever it is, yoga that can take away some of that energy. Hiking, great to be, for earth sign to be out in earth. And yeah, and just accepting that everything can't always be perfect, right? But overall, they want a partner they can rely on. That's they want that person has to be like a rock, and has to understand that part of them, right? Like they can't be with someone who, like, I think that example of the organizing the whole like kitchen drawer is a perfect one. Like they can't be with someone who, like, let's say it took them 2 or 3 hours to do that when the other person was like gone. They can't be with someone who like would see them and be like, oh, cool, whatever, like they want to be recognized for that, which sounds like Leo, but they want, that's kind of how they express love a lot of the times. And also it's very, very nurturing, and it can give it an emotional need to be of service, like I said before. So it goes perfectly with Cancer, which I'm not going to go too far into, because Cancer obviously is a sign about caring for other people, caring for your family. It's in the second house, so that's good for having a set of values which you can basically judge your own and others' lives based off of those values. So it's like it's very important to kind of have that. And it's also, it makes like finances and money and kind of like that level. The second house is Taurus. Taurus obviously loves money, right? It loves the finer things in life, so it makes that important. The idea of like a big house with a big family, something like that, is very, very telling, and very interesting for the Cancer, right? Because the Cancer wants to look out for the people around them. It's very caring. It's a big homebody, very, very all about comfort, and yeah, you just have to watch out for like the shutting down when you've been vulnerable and it's backfired. So I'm curious also in a follow-up if that's ever been a thing. But yeah. So one thing with Cancer too, and any water signs, you have to watch out for like boundaries and lacking boundaries and giving too much of yourself. And you know, a lot of Cancers and Pisces, they have relationships where they attract energy vampires and kind of toxic people. Let's see if you have any of these squares. Yeah, you have Venus squaring that Chiron, Mars opposite. Okay, yeah. So and then also you have this other tendency to be a risk taker, even though you're a Cancer sun, it squares Jupiter. So that can make you, you know, it's not it's one of the like the better squares in astrology, but it can make one like really take like I have this also. So it's very good for leadership and stuff of that nature. And you know, when you lack fire, this could actually be a good thing. But I always give the metaphor of it makes one like forget to look before they leap. And they can, like the person who walks in the casino and is like, I'm gonna win no matter what. And then but with the rest of your chart and the lack of that kind of energy, I would imagine, especially with your Mars and Virgo, which is like the most analytical like energy in astrology, and most just like looking at every little detail, that it can be tiring, which we'll definitely talk about. And the fact that square Saturn or opposite Saturn, you know, I don't think that's something that affects you. Now, Gemini rising, you know, it's like I said before, you know, it's very social. Your chart's ruled by Mercury, which is in Cancer in the second house also. So, you know, a big part of your outer personality, and your south node is on your ascendant. That's crazy. When I see that, it really makes me think that it's an exact degree. It really makes me think that who you are in this lifetime, like the way you look, like this is gonna be a little bit trippy to hear. So the ascendant is your personality. It's the mask you wear. It's how you project what's within, you know, what I kind of just started to explain, the sun and moon being the two biggest parts. It's how you project that, right? Your personality of this lifetime. So the fact that it's conjunct the south node, which rules past lives, makes me think that in this lifetime, you look probably, if not exactly the same, extremely similar to how you looked in your last lifetime. And also that there's a past life tendency to be to Gemini. Now let me explain this. The south node isn't a bad thing. We want to use the south node to get to the north node, which the north node represents the destiny point, the point of our chart that is like climbing Mount Everest. It's hard to get to, not Everest, a mountain that where you don't die by climbing it, right? It's like climbing a mountain that's really, really hard, but you're not going to die. I know a lot of people are not laughing at that. Yeah. But basically, so Gemini South Node people, I guess they can be a little bit too in the lower realms of communication and not necessarily like I'm not trying to say like it's very intelligent. I mean, your chart is ruled by Mercury, which is like it's very intelligent. It's just like it can make one very scattered, like where they're trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, and also maybe gossiping a lot, where they're very conflicted in their decisions. So it's all about like, because the North Node Sagittarius, the purpose of this lifetime in the 7th house, right? And also your slow down, Jesse, slow down. Your South Node is in the 1st house. But before I get into that, the fact that your North Node is in the 7th house signifies, and I have this too, so I know it well, that in past lives, there hasn't been enough compromise in relationships, like romantic relationships and partnerships, right? One-on-one, like usually it's romantic relationships. It can also be like business partnerships, stuff like very close one-on-one partnerships, not friendships, not siblings, not mother, not dad, usually partnerships. So, but also, so that's kind of one part of it. But really, it's saying that there's been kind of the scattered energy, and then this lifetime you're really trying to like bring it all together and create a guiding, like, so you're on this epic search for truth. And we can definitely talk about this more in our follow-up in this lifetime. And this makes perfect sense with you being born in 93, being born so young, because, you know, a lot of my clients, which recently, interestingly, I've been attracting clients who are younger. I just realized that I've had, like, maybe in the last 7 or 8 charts I've done, half of them have been, you know, born, you know, 93 or after. But yeah, so that's amazing. I love my young astrology babies, even though you're only 3 years. Yeah, you're pretty much the same age as me. I'm born in 1990. So yeah, take that baby statement back. Anyways, so yeah, there can be like egocentric kind of actions in past lives, like not wanting to devote your life to others. So it's like a quest for right relations. Not to say that you should just give your life purpose away and just like be super codependent, but just like, you know, be a little bit more willing to, like, for example, a great metaphor, like example would be like willing to go to the couples therapy, willing to sacrifice something, you know, as long as it's not something that's like so essential to your being and to your happiness, to that Virgo moon and to, you know, and all that. But yeah, being able to sacrifice for relationship. But with the Sagittarius, it's like literally, it's like you're trying to go towards finding that fire within yourself, getting past your Chiron fire pain, right? Which is so based on that inner child being hurt when you were a child. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's like so traveling physically and metaphorically to find a higher philosophy that then you can judge your whole life on. Now, moving on from that, you know, in terms of partnerships, right? You have your 7th house ruled by Jupiter, which is very fortunate, which Jupiter is in the 5th house in Libra. So with your North Node there, first of all, you're like, your partners are going to be very, very karmic. Let's see what if we have any okay, square. Okay, interesting. So oh, what? Okay, yeah. So basically, there's your partners are gonna be very karmic. They're gonna be very fated. Who you date, who you're meant to be with. And then you're gonna have a lot of luck and a real ability to expand yourself and go towards exactly what I just said. Maybe you'll be attracted to a partner from a different culture, from a different country. Maybe you'll meet them while traveling. Yeah, like they'll be not older, but maybe let's say that maybe they'll be like able to like teach you about spirituality, or it doesn't have to be like spirituality. Like they'll be able to like broaden your mind in some way, and maybe it's like a mutual thing where you're broadening their mind, they're broadening your mind. And that's so that's like the connection between your love life and your North Node that will probably be experienced through the relationships. But it could also be like, you know, close business partnerships, and even if you're like a psychologist, it could be through your like, this is a 7th house relationship, me and you right now, or I guess like once we're face to face, but or this whatever. But then we go to Venus. So Venus is sitting in, well, actually no, I was just talking about Jupiter. So Jupiter's in the 5th house. So Jupiter, actually, let's not go there yet, because Jupiter is not an inner planet. So what I do first is I give you the inner planets, which are the conscious parts of our personality. They all have functions. Like Mars is like the aggressive assertiveness function. Venus is like the function of femininity and beauty and love and love language and how we spend and how we deal with the like our preferences, what we value in ourselves and in others, right? So we understand that. Like the Virgo in me doesn't like how this looks. I have to have this on my nice couch because of the cat. I don't have any Virgo. I just have strong Saturn and Sun and Pisces sextile it. But yeah, so let me just see one thing. yeah, so I give the inner planets first, because I want to really make sure there's a separation that's understood. North Node's not a planet, that's why I went into that, but I haven't talked about the outer planets are Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron also. But sometimes sometimes if it's really linked to something I'm saying, I'll talk about an outer planet earlier. But just know that Chiron is not an outer planet. And yeah, so so already one spiritual quest, finding your authentic voice and finding the fire within you. So make sure to bring that up when we talk, because I won't remember any of this. When I do my readings, they're kind of like, I've been told, I don't know if I believe this, but I mean, it kind of feels real that they're channels, because I literally, if you quiz me about what I said 2 minutes after, maybe I'm just in a flow state, but I literally, if you quiz me, I could probably, let's say 5 minutes after the reading, maybe I could probably know your sun sign, your moon sign, but I would forget everything. So I don't know, right now I'm completely in a flow. So that's just the way it is. So that's why during the follow-ups, I really need you to remind me of everything. Well, of course, when I see your chart, it'll all come back to me, but at least the deep specific, because I'm solving a cosmic puzzle right now that is not so apparent when you just look at a chart, or else everyone can do astrology. So yeah, so I'll go into Jupiter a little bit later, but it does rule your 7th house, which gives you lots of luck, lots of expansion, lots of really good energy for your relationships, and yeah, also for your creativity in the 5th house. But okay, so Venus in the 12th house in Capricorn, in Taurus, way better. That's difficult. Venus in 12th house is very difficult. 12th house energy is especially since you have your Mars and Virgo, I imagine love life could be difficult for you. And 1 second, I'm just checking to see. And yeah, I definitely can confirm that, because your Venus is in the 12th house. 12th house is the house of repressed energies. It's it basically, with Venus there's issues with self-love. There's issues with there's lots of difficult karma when it comes to romantic relationships. That's why your North Node is in the 7th house, because you're trying to really solve a lot of that. So when I say that there'll be luck in terms of who you meet in the relationships, this kind of takes away from that a little bit. It might be kind of difficult. You might really need to balance out a lot of karmic debts you have with people. But also, Venus in the 12th house, it can make one kind of a dreamer, have a love of abandoning themselves to the unknown. And it is very artistic. It can be very artistic. It can make someone even more a Cancer, even more cancery than they already are. Yeah, basically 12th house Venus, I think it's kind of its own worst enemy. I mean, I've dated someone that has this, and I know firsthand that it can be its own worst enemy when it comes to love, kind of self-sabotaging. But the fact that Venus is in Taurus is a really good placement. So it's going to push away some of that 12th house Venus energy, because Taurus is in dignity, meaning it works best in Taurus. Venus and Taurus. It's Venus is Taurus and Libra. It's 2 signs. But in the 12th house, it will take away a lot of that. So yeah, what else can I say? So yeah, there'll be a love for alone time, very spiritually. So it'll give you on a good side, it'll give you, it's the only planet in there, so it's not as bad when you have a stellium there. It can make one especially in Taurus, binge on the ice cream, the chocolates, the things that are good for the senses. So you gotta watch out for that. But Venus is kind of one of these planets that you really have to love yourself. If you have 12th house Venus, if there's no self-love, because that's where we're like that's where Venus is, right? It's self-love projected. It can kind of create more fog around the self-love. And it can make someone, especially with Mars and Virgo, seeking perfection so much in their partner, right? And it's really romantic, and but it's also self-destructive, right? I have a sip of tea. Second. Some tea. I drink this matcha. It doesn't keep me up. It gives me a little bit of extra pizzazz. So there can also be this like really secretive element. They might be attracted to unavailable people. There might be like something really hidden in their love life, right? Like they can be very, very secretive about their love. And also like attracted to like kind of eccentric people. Also, they like to like kind of create their own imaginary world with their partner. And there can be this lack of boundaries where they can be very hurt if they the partner doesn't understand the line between their own needs. Wait, how am I trying to put this sentence? Basically, like if the partner like there can be this codependency potential, and they can be very hurt if like the partner is like not completely like aligned. Like if like they'll sometimes like want the partner to have the same needs as them, but that's I mean, unless the moon sign, the whole chart's the same, it won't be like that, right? Also, you have to watch out for people taking advantage of you. This is another clue of that in love. And they take, typically taking romance very seriously. And like it's just I keep like coming back in my head with the boundaries thing. So yeah, that's kind of that. What else can I say? I'm looking at my notes here because sometimes I forget things, and you just need to see one word and I just get on this tangent. Yeah, being like so it's also like in terms of the esoteric, like Venus or Jupiter in the 8th or the 12th, it kind of gives you this like lantern. I made a metaphor of this in my recent post where like other people, like you're very like you have almost this light flashlight or lantern as it's related to the collective unconscious. So you can really, really tap into that and make amazing art that reflects kind of the zeitgeist. It's kind of cool. It's super compassionate. And yeah, they can really love anyone with compassion. So they're very, with the love energy. But the issue is that, it's a double-edged sword, is that they're so compassionate that they can sometimes give love to the energy vampire types, or start chasing people who will never like, be with them and be obsessed with them and stuff like that. And yeah, like the loneliness can definitely come up. And yeah, like honestly, it's really interesting, really very interested to hear what of this resonated, because it's such a secretive placement. So I wonder sometimes, like when I have my clients with Venus in the 12th house, I'm like, how much are they really telling me? Like what's really real here, right? But yeah, it is the house, of spirituality, and it could be worse. Let's just say it could like 12th house, like for example, thank God you don't have like, I don't know, Saturn My girlfriend has Saturn there. That one's tough. So I guess like it's just really like the goal is to kind of be of service, move away from the perfectionism, understand that no one can be perfect. Finding the balance between someone like that's not boring and too safe, but like not putting too much into the basket of love, right? And then you will attract that energy. Also, it makes like your dreams and intuitions, like you can have like really amazing visions through those, like meditations also. So that's really, really important to kind of like take note of your dreams, maybe dream journal. You'll be very, very good at writing with the other energy of your chart. And yeah, that's like overall. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. I'm looking all over for it. Yeah, I guess like the part is just like that self-deception, like where they can convince themselves of almost anything they wish to, like believe. And like so it's like such a double-edged sword. Like they can find beauty in things that other people find like unattractive or hideous. But yeah, it can just create this real like idealism that sometimes can get them in trouble. Like secret love affairs are very attractive. But like in terms of like love, it's so romantic and it makes someone like really interested in achieving like a deeper level of affection, like really connected to like through their partner to the universe. So like a spiritual relationship, maybe like learning like the ancient wisdom together. Basically, it's hard to find a man like that in today's world, but they do exist. So yeah. And in Taurus, Venus and Taurus, they love to be very touchy. A Cancer will like that too. And like you will be someone who's probably very serious about romance. So maybe like for people charts like that, I mean, I'm like, you like do well with like the Capricorn, Virgo types, but then it's like sometimes opposites attract, something like maybe it's someone with a lot of Sagittarius, a lot of fire in their chart, so that's that. Boundaries, of course. Also, yeah, like so it's just like I think the most important thing is finding someone who's also empathetic and who doesn't abuse your boundaries and who's not like a shitty energy, even like a subtle like 12th house Venus can be the kind of person that falls victim to like the kind of like subtle types of narcissists, that do it that kind of like do it in like a very like a more smooth way, you could say, a less obvious way. And yeah, I think I talked enough about that. So yeah, love language, Taurus, romance and reliability go hand in hand. It's usually like a slow and steady approach to relationships. And it's once again looking for someone that's very solid and secure. And also Venus and Taurus likes money. It's not a lie. Sun in the second house likes money. It's not, it's not, it's something, it likes the finer things in life. And it really likes to be engaged through the senses, and it's very sexual. And it's also very, very good for looks. So and for creative ability, which your Jupiter's in the 5th house, which is expanding your creative expression. So very positive. So Mars and Virgo, I feel like I've already said a lot about that. And also, yeah, just before I get into that, you have Venus opposite Pluto, which is going to create basically like the fact that you'll see your own shadow, you'll experience your own shadow through relationships. And there can be lots of darkness that comes out in relationships. And it goes exactly what I said about like the shady types that you might attract and be attracted to these shady kind of bad people until you really start to learn that self-love and boundaries. but yeah, just, and then the square with Chiron is basically saying that there's, there's spiritual pain that can come through love. So, with the trine between Uranus, Neptune, and Venus, I mean, that's just kind of feeding your intuition even more, which is very, very bright. And kind of when you're meditating, when you're in your mode, when you're in your center, you're going to be able to get downloads from the other side, or from other realms, and they're both placed in the 8th house, which are very strong placements for that, so I'll go over later. So yeah, Mars in Virgo basically is the energy of someone who sees everything. It's the most observant placement. I'll flash the chart again in a second. It's in the 4th house. It's kind of far from the IC, but yeah, it's conjunct the moon. So when Mars is conjunct the moon, it can create someone who can be a little bit emotionally impulsive. There can be anger issues, and when it's in Virgo, it can kind of be held in, and they can kind of like, little things can piss them off, like little details that other people might not notice, like not cleaning the dishes or something like that, right? But it's not always petty. It's not always bad. It just can be. It's opposite Saturn, so your Saturn return, is it here? Is it coming? I think it's coming, right? Yeah, it's about to come. Where is Pisces? Where is Saturn right now? Let me check. Like what degree? Yeah, it's 5. Yeah, your Saturn return, which you should, after this, definitely book a live current astrology / Saturn return reading, where I will break down what's going on for you, like astrology right now. This is the birth chart. This happens one time. That one's a live reading, so that one, there's no like, it's very clear. Like, we set it up at this time, we meet at that time. It's not like a long wait or anything. It's like we set that one up pretty quickly. But like, that's very interesting. You say basically the Saturn return chart is so important, or the Saturn return, because a new chart is created for the Saturn return. So imagine that Saturn started at 0.088 degrees Pisces. The Saturn return chart would be like, and I do this solar return also, obviously, each year, but Saturn return is done once every 29 years, 29 and a half, 29, 30, whatever. And it's when Saturn does one full round around the zodiac. And this is really when your life starts, like when you become an adult. So right now is like you're really transitioning into this period of getting past some of the self-limiting beliefs, and really wanting to grow. And I would love to do that reading if you're interested. But yeah, so when you have Mars opposite Saturn, by the way, so many celebrities and successful people have this. It makes it so, and especially having Mars and Virgo. Mars and Virgo is so fucking hard on themselves. They can be flow killers. They can be people sometimes who like notice all the bad and are very pessimistic. So it goes back to the perfectionism. It's like your chart is one that you really need to go within. And once that process has happened, and by the way, I do astrological counseling. I've started to kind of announce some of the other services that I do, because like people just think I just write posts on Instagram sometimes, and this is like what I do. Like, I'm a content creator, and this, and I do readings. But yeah, like Virgo Mars opposite Saturn, it would mean that you take a step forward and you kind of get pushed back. And Virgo Mars, I've experienced so many of them in my life. Like, they can just like, it can just be although I've experienced it more to flow. It's kind of like Capricorn Moon, where it works better. I've seen it work a lot better in women's charts. In men's charts, I've seen it be very, very frustrated, which is interesting, because Virgo is a feminine energy, and so is Capricorn. It's an earth sign, which is feminine, but then it's like a very masculine sign. It's kind of like hard to tell. Yeah, very goal oriented. It's like you're one of these people that's like a sure success, but you are your own worst enemy. And I think love is probably like your worst enemy, and perfectionism, right? But even if your perfectionism, if you're shooting for 100, I always get this metaphor. Let's say your goal is to get 110, and you get, let's say one day your best you do is 70. Live with that. Love that. The key to your entire chart, here it comes. It's the simplest word: gratitude. Every day you should be doing a gratitude list of the small. Use your Mars in Virgo, which is the detail oriented, like to create a list. I'm grateful of this like little thing I have today, of this person in my life, of this thing that happened today, right? Just get creative with it, which you have that creativity with the, with this Taurus Venus, right? And that's a great way in being of service, right? These are ways to break the Virgo, like the bad side of Virgo in 12th house, karma, is being of selfless service. Mars and Virgo can be really protective about their system of getting things done, and get kind of mad when people, go against it. They're not aggressive, but they can be very like critical, right? Like they're not gonna like push people around, but they'll be more subtle. Like if a native of like that has native is like like someone a native of Mars and Virgo, or Mars and Virgo native, when they're annoyed, they're very hard to be around. They can be like such like notice all the like the little bad like there can be like I'm gonna stop saying who has this, but someone very close to me has this, and he can like I can like send him something that's like so beautiful, right? Let's say it's a post I'm doing, like, hey, look at this, but like he'll notice the one thing that's like a spelling error. So it's like it can really take away from admiring, like when art, for example, it can make it difficult to like admire the whole of something when you're so deep, like zoom down on the details. So being able to zoom out is super important. So yeah, so just like it's all about that inner work and understanding that no one can be perfect. And then also it's very fidgety, nervous, worried energy a lot of the times. Not all the time, but a lot of times. Like once again, this is such a chart that has to do with like the amount of work you've done. And it goes back to the perfectionism. They really want it like your Virgo Moon. Your Virgo Moon needs to feel like it's being productive. And yeah, like sexually, their performance in bed can be like similar to like their performance in work and in their tasks. It can be very like very earthy, which so there's a very nice link between your Venus and your Mars. Are both in Earth signs, so there's going to be that energy. Sometimes there's like a sometimes they can be like how would I do like that kind of energy, but of course it's not all the time, and with experience everything can change, but they can be very nervous in that area of life. But yeah, like there can be like a really shy and humble side when it comes to like putting themselves out there, especially like new knowledge. But like typically there's that the overall drive is what gets, and the fact that it's opposite Saturn, which is in your 10th house, it's in the long run very good for success. Mars, opposite Saturn, right now is when that energy that kind of pulls you back, you move forward, you get pulled back. Maybe it's like a father figure or authority figure, some maybe not like a father figure, but like something that pulls you back. And you have Mars in the 4th house, which could indicate like that I see that the relationship between mother and father being a flowy one, but I'm not sure if the relationship between mother and father and you was flowy. I don't know. Mars in the 4th house indicates like a childhood that was like very combative, very very kind of like rash, like almost like it could be aggressive, not as like traumatic as like Pluto, but like yeah, like it could have been like some aggression down there. And yeah, Mars and Virgo is super critical of a pose. So just understanding all of that, we can imagine like their overall personality. And then obviously Mercury in Cancer is going to have someone speaking in a very like emotional way. They'll be very they'll place a lot of importance on communicating with their family, and like they will really like to communicate about deep and emotional issues, and they really value, you know, in second house Mercury, it's another money oriented thing, but they turn this off. Like it can give someone some very ingenious money making ideas, right? The strategies, and they can like make money through something that relates to like communication, right? And in Cancer, it'd be more of like an emotional, not like salesy, like more emotional kind of communication. And yeah, and like they really will value quick thinking and intelligence, and yeah. So in terms of the aspects there, you know, of course, Mercury, yeah, and yeah, I said that, and then Sun does, you know, have some nice aspects. Saturn, so that's going to make you. I don't even need to add that. I mean, that's just like you already have that Saturn in your chart. That's a very positive aspect. It's going to make you even more organized, even more successful. And it has a nice aspect with Mars, which is going to make you even more like driven and goal oriented. It's just like I'm just very curious of how like the self-starting thing happens, because like when you put your mind to something with all this Earth, you can just go for the long run. And another great thing about having all this Earth is that you can consistently, you're so consistent. You can be the same person day after day after day after day. Not to say that you're like, you know, like a robot, but it's just like for example, me, I can't do that. You know, I have no Earth in my chart. So it's really, really good for like being naturally grounded, which you can imagine has also very good for functioning in society. Okay, let's flash the chart again. Okay. So we've for the most part, you know, we've gone over, we have gone over, let's just check down here, the inner planets. So that's kind of, yeah, the conscious part of your personality. So we have some ideas. And now the outer planets, you know, we start with, you know, obviously Jupiter in the 5th house. That's mega creativity. In Libra, it is basically you're really able to expand yourself through your creative expression. So I imagine that you probably are, you might be an artist. And if you're not an artist, you have a lot of artistic potential. And being a Gemini rising, you know, I always circle back. You're going to be like this innately curious. Okay, that's enough. You're going to be this innately curious person. So, you know, you're going to like to try a lot of things. And I imagine that, you know, creativity would be one of them, and that you'd really be able to really expand yourself. And it's also really, really good for children. And it's also like Jupiter in Libra gives you a very strong concern for justice. Makes one like very diplomatic, very good at socializing and just doing life, and also like expressing spiritual values and relationships. It's actually a good placement for relationships. So there's a very interesting like relationship energy here. And maybe your Saturn return, we'll have to look at the chart. If you had that reading, maybe there'll be something that speaks about like some big change in that area of life. Who the hell knows? As I move, and yeah, Jupiter in the 5th house, like you're always like looking to expand your way of expressing yourself creatively, right? By the way, and you, yeah, just I'm gonna text you right now just to tell you that I actually decided to do it right now. But yeah, you're always, what am I doing it? You're always looking to find new avenues to express yourself and to have fun. So that's kind of like a way to unlock the inner child. So Saturn, you know, I just talked about how good it is to have Saturn in the 10th house. You know, it's not your midheaven's in the 9th house, which basically means that like, you know, your career, your dharma could be more connected to your North Node, to philosophy, to truth, to traveling, to, it's in Aquarius, so to something like related to finding to your own like unique philosophy, and then like how you're able to implement it to your career, right? That can be really important. 1 second. Should I pause this now? I'm literally gonna keep talking while I just need to grab something from the bathroom, but this microphone will still be talking. So I'm gonna keep doing that. 1 second. But yeah, so that's kind of like ninth house midheaven, because in a fixed sign whole sign chart houses like I use, that's what happens. And it's usually in the 10th house, but sometimes it's in the 11th and the 9th house. So in this case, it just creates someone who is able to, who like, I imagine traveling and philosophy play a huge role in your life. And I definitely want to, and not just in your in your everyday life, but also in your career. So curious to know how that is. 1 second. Took my sleeping little melatonin thing. I have my driving test tomorrow. I'm gonna sleep right after this. Oh shit, one thing. I forgot one other thing. So then, okay, so Saturn, you still hear me? Saturn is very well placed for you. So I posted about this today, how Saturn on the in the 10th house, it does well because it's it's not in the midheaven, but it's on the 10th, it's on the 10th house cusp. It does well because Saturn it does more well because of how how messed up or how like bad it can do in other houses, right? Like Saturn in the 12th creates all kinds of. I just lost. It's just like I had like a noise in my headphone that I lost connecting to my phone. Why is my Bluetooth on my phone? 1 second. I need to turn this off. Okay, now that makes me want to like test the audio here to make sure that Mercury retrograde didn't screw this up. Hello, hello. Test, test. Okay. We are good. So yeah, Saturn 10th house gives like tons of drive, tons of organization. It can make one kind of feel like they have some like shyness earlier in life around like how they express themselves to the public, but overall it just gives like really organized energy and a real ability to to really like find success in their career and to organize their life and to I know this. I'm friends with this girl, this astrologer girl who works with celebrities in Hollywood, and when I made my recent post about what was it? It was like basically like indicators of like wealth or fame in a birth chart. She was like, you have no idea how many of my celebrity clients have the 10th house Saturn. So you can imagine, that like after like right now in this period right now, your Saturn turn, when the energy opens up and it gets a lot easier, this is a great energy, right? Just because it can be such a buzzkill also in other places. And one thing you have to watch out for is like workaholism. This is all of your chart too. I haven't mentioned this. Like you have to really watch out for being a workaholic. When it comes to health, your body could be giving you have to really tune into your body. I would suggest yoga or something, hiking, whatever like gets you tuned in is important, because you might have something which will indicate that you're overworking yourself. Yeah, like your chart basically, like there's gonna be lots of setbacks, but then around the age you are now, those start to go away. It's like this weight off your shoulder, that force that when you took let's not call it a step forward, two back. Let's say like you step forward, then like something pushes you back, and just like this push and pull. Let's just say now that force goes away. So yeah, just very, very like responsible, like kind of like an authority figure, like an amazing asset. Like if I was like a CEO, and like this would be like someone I would want to be my CFO, like a very just like a great person for anything career wise. Like they have this real staying power, right? With success. And yeah, I think the most important part is that there's not Saturn restricting you in another area of your life, like every other house. I can't, like, the only other house that Saturn is like pretty good in is like the 6th house, and it does real damage, like the 5th house, for example. My God. For the 2nd house, second house is fine too. It's the Earth house, but yeah, 6th and 10th are the best. What's the worst? That's for another time. So yeah, opposite Mars. Interesting to hear about that, how that kind of plays out. So here's a little kitty saying hi, Esme. So yeah, like basically like one other thing that just came to me. In life, as a Virgo Pisces axis, right? Like I think Virgo is very sensitive, and especially the Cancer. Cancer can be like sometimes held in the past, right? Because it can be very nostalgic. It can think of the better old days, and there can be issues of like sadness, melancholy, right? And like it's just so interesting. It's just such a beautiful and true thought. Like, and this is kind of from my Sagittarian perspective, like every second of every day, like, okay, in my life, right? This is, and sorry, I'm using myself for example. I've gotten so much better at not using myself, but when it applies, it applies. Like I just had like an exchange in a group text, a group that I'm a part of, that I run, where someone left. And by the way, when we talk live, we can actually talk about this exact thing, but it's kind of a secret, so you have to remind me about the secret. Actually, remind me over text, over message or IG Messenger. Just send me a reminder that I said something about a group. But basically, something kind of bad happened. Like one person like got kind of like, I guess, triggered by something I said and left. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it was basically like my opinion about America, but like more like based on my reality. It wasn't like I hate America, terrible, horrible, whatever. I'm not gonna get into too much of the story, but basically like she left the group, and I just felt like kind of an uncomfortable energy. Like I could, like, it was totally fine. Like people get triggered, people have their own past, people are whatever. But basically the whole point is that whole kind of chat experience in the that like it was like an hour I was on the chat. It wasn't a nice experience for me, right? It wasn't an experience that it wasn't an experience that like was so good. But when you zoom out a little bit, right? So like think about that, like a bad experience just happened. How many other experiences did I have today, right? And then I started to think of this that happened today, right? This other great thing that happened today, this amazing person I met today, and that is very, very helpful for this perfectionist attitude, right? Is really making it a habit for gratitude. But like when something that doesn't really like abide by your standards happens in any area of life, kind of like using that Virgo, which loves to review and reviewing, like, okay, this wasn't great, but it's not the end of the world, so that was just one little thing I want to kind of add in. I hope it made sense. Just kind of how you can like not overreact to mistakes, and also learn to see shortcomings as like an asset, because it teaches you, right? And this is more that Sagittarius North Node, like a mistake or a shortcoming or like a failure is a lesson. And it's actually Virgo, which wants to be so, efficient and pragmatic. It's more pragmatic to make a mistake and learn from it than to take a mistake and let it kind of like destroy you. So that's kind of another thing. Just want to throw that in there. So I hope that, yeah. So actually, okay, I want to also add another thing about love, because Juno, the astro of love, is in third house in Leo on the IC. This again, I see ruling the past. In the node connection, yeah. So it's gonna create an energy where you, let's see, let's say, yeah, basically like it's just very faded. Your relationships are very, very faded, and there's this level of like what you look for in like a partner, like a love marriage partner, is someone who's very like you want someone like you. It's in Leo, so you want someone that you can be proud of, someone that brings out that inner child. It's literally conjunct your Chiron. So it's like, it's beautiful. This is astrology who's literally saying that you're looking for someone who brings out that inner child in you, who brings out that fire, that more fiery, more less structured, more like carefree. Maybe it's a Pisces, maybe it's a Leo. Who knows what the sun sign is? It's all about the feel for the person. So I found that pretty beautiful and wanted to add that in there. Okay, besides that, oh, I didn't see that one. So then you have Uranus, which is in the 8th house. So the fact that Uranus and Neptune are together and they're opposing, why does it only say? That's weird. So you have that opposition between Uranus. This is a long reading. Uranus and Neptune in Mercury. So that can be genius energy, honestly. So even though you do have you do have like this Mercury in a water sign, Cancer, more traditional, more with the emotions. The fact that it opposes these two, yeah, that's difficult. It can create situations where your way of thinking, once again, I've said this before, is at odds with other people. Like with Uranus, it can create like a very like eccentric, quick thinking mind that thinks very differently, and sometimes that way of thinking like offends like more conservative people, right? That's why it's so important to find a like-minded group of people, which is why I'm telling you to message me. And overall, it just yeah, it just like it can make one very like risk takey with their communication, and very, very rebellious with their communication and their way of thinking, but also so eccentric, and just the person that beats the beat of their own drum is willing to say it. But like with that held back, I'm curious how much of that actually gets to come out, right? Because it's in a more shy sign of Cancer. But definitely your way of thinking is that's the combination of genius. I wrote about it today, about the conjunction, but the opposition can be just as as powerful. So then with Neptune, right? With Neptune, it's more about like just the need to like, it's very, very artistic and gives a vivid imagination, but you have to really watch out for like tricking yourself. And it can create disappointments in close relationships. Like there can be like this paranoia, like thinking one thing, but it's not true. Like, oh, he's cheating on me, or like he thinks this about me, he doesn't like me, like not reading situations properly. Like you can hear and see what everyone else says, but by the time it's processed in your brain, you get like a different picture in your mind. So it's difficult to filter out the clutter or background noise. So like there can be just like especially with Neptune, there can just be or with Uranus, there can be just too much information. So if there's a big need for you to spend alone time and especially to avoid bad energy people and environments, and to see you'll be someone that recharges themselves when they're alone at home in their cocoon in their nest. And yeah, like there can be a real oversensitivity to the environment. And there can be lots of miscommunications that happen with the Neptune one. So being a Virgo, this actually helps you in the situation because Virgo is so accurate. But it's very important to be very accurate with your communications. And that's why I think therapy, if it's definitely made for a chart like yours, it's made for everyone. But one thing, if I was your therapist, for example, I would be because it's definitely possible that you perceive someone else's character traits or intentions or actions incorrectly. So it's important to kind of whether it's a therapist or a friend to kind of touch base with them and be like, hey, this is what happened, what do you kind of see what they think, right? And you can even do this thing called reality checking, right, which is where you actually ask, which is I'm not always advised, but hey, I have this thing, sometimes I'm just paranoid or whatever. I see are you thinking this? It's an idea. And with the type of relationships that you'd be looking for, the empathetic person, they would definitely be open to having that kind of communication. But yeah, like I said, with all these, it's conscious awareness of this potential flaw. In that, especially in this case, in the perceptive skill, is the first step, and it avoids the confusion in relation. A lot of the confusion that can come in relationship, and yeah. Also, it's so good for the arts. So many famous people have it. Just this very imaginative view of reality. You have the chart of a writer, 100% of a writer with all that Virgo energy. That makes someone that can just write really just write and write and write and write. Yeah. So what else can I say? And then a little bit more about Uranus, because this is an important one. Yeah, just like I said before, a fast lightning-like mind, could be genius, but you could also be a trickster or a rebel. And there can and this is another one that definitely leads to anxiety. I would say there's the probability that you have or have had general anxiety disorder based on your chart. I would say there's definitely a potential, but also there's a huge potential that you've overcome anxiety. So keeping mentally busy is super important, and obviously we said it before, but not too important. Having that good work-life balance, because you can definitely be way too much on the work side, and also having that good relationship self balance, because as I showed before, you can be too much on the karmically too much on the self balance, not enough given to the relationship, right? One thing with this opposition is that there's a need to listen to others. And not because there can be this instinct to take the opposition, even instinctively take the opposite opinion in the situation. It'll make you a good debater too, just a really original style of thinking. And because of this, you're gonna this unusual kind of quirky mind. You're going to prefer the company of other types of people that are also like that, right? Liking people from different cultures, different worldviews. So yeah. And yeah, just interruptions or breakdowns in communications are something that can definitely come up. And also what was I going to say? Yeah, I kind of slipped my mind. So that's kind of what's going on there. So yeah, aside from that, I guess your Saturn talked about it. Pisces, it's a very Saturn, very karmic placement of Saturn. You know, this lifetime, it's just kind of, it's a very, I'm gonna admit that I'm not like, I'm always adding to my astrology toolbox. Right now, it's a lot of fixed stars, and Saturn in the signs too. It's just like my understanding of Saturn Pisces is like, it's just like it can create kind of anxieties and fears, but also just overall like really strong karma to be worked through in this lifetime. And it's in the domain of career and dharma, which you're based, you know, you're it's all about taking like what you find from your Sagittarius worldview in a different way of thinking, and then applying it to this your dharma, your career. So okay, Uranus and Neptune, you're born like when they're like both at 20 degrees of Capricorn. And let me open up my fixed star checker to see if there's anything there. But basically, eighth house. Eighth house. I mean, Neptune, the eighth house is like a beautiful placement for psychic abilities and mysticism. You'll be drawn to the occult. You'll be drawn to the esoteric. You'll feel at one with others and really have the ability to transcend daily life through your metaphysical pursuits. You could even be someone who has like a metaphysical practice. And you're someone who can really sense like the undercurrents, right? This is shown all over your chart with your Venus in the 12th house. So, you know, when you add that to your Virgo, not only are you able to sense the physical like the observation, but you're able to sense the emotional undercurrent, which is massive. So like, I don't know, like writing, I feel like could be like communicating in some type of way could be such a healing thing. Like something, some creative, like something creative. I'm all about create. And then your MC, you know, ruled by Uranus, you know, Uranus being in the 8th house, you know, midheaven in the 9th house ruled by Uranus, it's gonna say you're gonna probably have a very eccentric, very individualistic type of career. That's kind of probably different than what a lot of people is. But when I mean career, I don't mean just like 9-to-5 job. I mean your dharma, what you're doing on like an external life level. Uranus in the 8th, you know, that's like another speedy, quick intuition, like where you can get like, it's also like you can get like this sudden changes in life through like you just get money all of a sudden out of nowhere. Also like joint ventures can be good, but also you have to watch out for them for like shady people with the Neptune there. Watch out for like shady spiritual occult leaders and stuff. And yeah, just like it makes someone who's like fascinated by metaphysics and the deeper side of life. I want to see what else. Yeah. What happened to your chart? Okay, there it is. So yeah, like descendant ruled by Jupiter, the 5th house, like looking for someone that you can create with, that can, you know, that you can expand with, but also who's, you know, grounding and you know, empathetic and detail oriented like you. But with that said, love is so weird, and sometimes we attract people that are complete opposites of us, but there's just this karmic connection, and it just works, and we just feel safe with them and feel secure. So yeah. Vertex in the 6th house in Scorpio, you know, once again, your your doorway to higher awareness will come through being of service to humanity. You will be, you know, in relationships, you'll come off as quite intense, and you'll have, you know, pretty intense experiences that leads you to like this death rebirth transformation process that I see in so many of my clients' charts. And basically, yeah, there can also be like sexual experiences that are so powerful that they open doors to like other realms. Like that's like something that happens with that. And it can also be great for singing. Because like, or singing, you're like using your voice, you know, like like mantras, like it reverberates throughout your whole system, like Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, like that kind of thing. That can be very, very strong. And yeah, you may have your destiny in like a physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual area of healing, and become like a powerful force in one of these fields. And then, anti-vertex, opposite of vertex. And by the way, I know I'm giving you a longer chart because you're so patient and so kind, and get one message from you the whole time saying, hey, is it going to be done? And I do appreciate that a lot. Anti-vertex, that's like kind of like, it's in Taurus. So like you will definitely be drawn to people, like in times of stress, like to people who have that stability, that groundedness, that common sense that can really anchor you, and that's steadying kind of influence, right? And that also allows you to dive deeper into these scorpionic areas, and it's in the 6th house. The vertex. That's like about service, and about like how your doorway to higher awareness is through service, and through and I've said that again with your Venus, like how that can be very, very positive for you, being of service to humanity. It's not to say quit your day job and just work for charity and live on, and don't make any money. I mean, money's in your chart, right? But like it's just like service can be anything, right? It doesn't have to take up all your time. And it can even be like, through your profession, which is what your Pluto says. So Pluto is like the North Node, so important. And Pluto in the 6th house is basically saying that, on one hand, I get my little Pluto book that I read every time since I started. It's kind of like a ritual. I wrote this like 4 years ago or something. But yeah, like in the 6th house, like it's really it's 6th house is health. So this can be a difficult one for health, but you really have to recognize the power of the relationship between your mind and your body. And this is like just don't overwork yourself kind of thing. It's like one thing that comes to my mind, because I've said that multiple times, and I see the Pluto in the 6th house. But it's really about service. So it's also about like your daily routine playing a really important role in your life. Also like, yeah, how you can experience like a dramatic change in your health. Cats. And it's really about service and getting away from the me and getting to the we. Here it is. And yeah, and Pluto's like your shadow, your darkness, kind of like diving deep, and then through that dive you get some greatness. So here we see a transition point or sharp contrast with the creative power of the subjective self, shown in Leo, which is the last sign. The need arises to return to level ground and to reevaluate the self through fundamental reexamination. This seeks a reassessment of self's drive to continuously authenticate itself, and instead seeks to deconstruct the self, to place it at the service of others or of useful work, right? So it's service or of useful work. In this way, a profound humility is sought as the ego bows to larger forces. In South Node, in Gemini, it can be, first it can be ego, like past life. There can be ego with a Gemini past life, especially conjunct the ascendant, right? And it's only square the moon, and it's trine Jupiter. So it's like there was definitely fortune but there may be difficult karma with your mother. Let me know if that is and maybe you kind of feel like you've like inherited like emotions from your mother. That would make sense with your chart. But anyways, where was I? So yeah, at the service of others or of useful work. In this way, a profound humility is thought as the ego bows. It's like my handwriting. So the ego bows to larger forces into a proper assessment of self and the environment. So this is all done so that the will can accept the other, which is in the 7th, and not be so self-centered like Pluto in the 5th. The question goes from how can I be special to how can I be useful? Brilliant. Brilliant how astrology does this in nearly every chart I've ever done. It just pieces together. We see the same message in different ways throughout the chart. Moving on and close to completion. Talk about pretty much everything. Actually, maybe I'm missing anything? No, no. Wow. Yeah, Black Moon Lilith. Yeah, so Black Moon Lilith in part of fortune really quickly. So Black Moon Lilith is in Pisces, and that's not a planet. It's just like you have to watch out for it. This energy, basically in the 10th house, it's like watching out for like being like cutthroat when it comes to like stepping, like doing anything to get to the top. Like ambitious to the point of overriding other people. Just doing fucked up stuff from that. But then in Pisces, Black Moon Lilith, it's like, the self-destructive part within us. I think of that one more in the sense of like the kind of Cancerian self-victimization, like just like to not feel bad for yourself and to also not like just like only dream about like what you can do. Like let's say you have like this amazing idea, right, for your career. It's about like not only dreaming about it, but like going into it. Also not using like emotional manipulation. It comes down to a fear of vulnerability, right? Fear of being hurt that can lead to like these emotional walls being put up. But on the other end of the spectrum, there can be this like trust that's way too quick, which can lead to like, and that's like Cancer, like that can happen a lot where they trust way too fast, then leads to like pain that then reinforces this belief that they need to protect themselves, hence go inside the shell, the Cancer. So then healing comes from relying on your intuition and gut feeling to decide who to trust, right people, and accept that potential pain is just like a part of the equation of everything, and that like just because one relationship or one situation went bad doesn't mean that everyone is. So part of fortune in 11th house in Aries, basically like, that's like kind of where you find joy, where your flow state is, where things just work out, and then I need to see if there's any like important fixed stars. But yeah, so having it in Aries, the part of fortune, like it's just like also like the basic way in which you're connected with the surrounding world. So it's also like a big significator of like prosperity. So it's like a Arabic point, but it's Hellenistic astrology. And basically, yeah, it's also really associated with the physical body and vocation, in the where it's placed. Has a lot to do with the worldly success, right? I always call it this flow state because it refers to like this place where you have like innate abilities and talent, like kind of like talents, right? And like these, and it's very natural. Like, I don't want to sound arrogant when I say this. I have this right on my midheaven, which is like, the public, and I feel more natural, like making a video, or like, I don't care if it one day if it was like 1 million or people, or if it's 100 people. Like it feels like more natural than being in a group of friends for me, you know. So that's kind of like an example of the part of fortune in my life, right? So basically it's also like a calculation of like the sun, moon, ascendant. I don't know why I'm getting so much into this. I just find it interesting. So I should have the part of spirit in here too. But yeah, okay. So basically you have it in, where's your chart go? In Aries in the 11th. So the 11th house is about groups of friends, associations. So basically, like, yeah, it's literally like you'll find your joy, and you'll naturally like be a leader of people like within groups. That also like you'll really fit in well in the right groups. And when you're like have this like this fiery like energy that you're trying to go towards, this like self-propelled energy, you'll experience tons of joy. And you'll find lots of fulfillment when you're using your own willpower to achieve your actual real authentic goals that are based on your authentic self. Now in the 11th house, it's like, you know, you have lots of joy when you're like discovering ideas that or like doing like service that uplifts humanity, and yeah, using your will for like the common goal. All righty, so now let's see, let's go through it. Let's go through just 12 Gemini. I'm only going for direct conjunctions today. Nothing so too far from Aldebaran. If you're born a little bit later, a little bit earlier, come on, move. Okay, try to drag this window over. It won't do it. Come on, computer. I know it's Mercury retrograde, but you can beat it. Yes. Okay, so then Sun 3 Cancer. Okay, nothing really there. Let's just touch this one up. Tijat prior, probably it's a very, very small one. See if they even have any delineation. No, but I guess you have the same birthday as Messi, I think. I guess strength, eminence, and success. So yeah, this fixed star on your sun is a positive one for that. And there's lots of success stars in Cancer, but even more in Gemini, in tropical Gemini. It's very good for public appeal and popularity. Okay, but it's not that big of one. So then next, Procyon. It catches me on the ground. Maybe think it was a spider. Okay, Procyon conjunct Mercury. So it's the 8th bright star in the sky, Procyon. So it's a pretty big one. And when it's conjunct Mercury, what it does, it gives occult interest. I'm reading this, by the way. So occult interest, so interesting. Minor position of management under government. Don't worry about that. It can give trouble and scandal through the opposite sex, and it's favorable for health and financial gain. So that's awesome. And there can be a tendency for hot temper and prudence, but because it is with the nature of Mercury and Mars, you know, the star itself, yeah, it can be argumentative, exaggerative, unreliable, stuff like that. But I read and it also makes a great talker, and you have the oppositions too, so it's just, it all comes together perfectly. Okay, moving further, 8 in 1 Virgo. Okay. So these ones aren't very important or ones that I've ever heard about. But Thuban, let's see what it says. Artistic and emotion, but somber nature, penetrating an analytical mind, much travel and many friends, but danger of robbery and of accidental poisoning. According to Ptolemy, the brightest stars are like Saturn and Mars. So the early, wait, is this called Draco? Oh, okay, yeah, it's the Draco constellation. I understand. Okay, so let's see if it says anything about sun. It does not. So we just got what we got. Artistic, emotional, but somber potentially. And then the north node and south node are named after this constellation. The early astrologers called it the poisonous dragon. The constellation is especially hurtful to mineral resources and presages the pollution of rivers in the air. It was said by the ancients that when a comet was here, poison was scattered over the world. By the Kabbalists, it is associated with the fuck? Let me erase this. Second answer. Closing. Tired. I'm not tired. I'm not tired. My eyes are tired. Okay. It's not tired. It's like when I look at the screen too much, I don't turn the freaking. Why do I not turn the f.lux on to make it so my screen that's right there is so much more chill. But of course, I do it at the very end. Okay, so then 1 degree, you have it's a Phesda, Phecda. Wait. So it's 1 degree. It's not so far from Regulus, but Regulus obviously is in Leo. So Mercury conjunct this. Any information? Nothing. Oh, wow. So it's connecting. Is it connecting this to Regulus? Because it's saying Donald Trump, and I have the same ascendant as Trump. And it doesn't even talk. It doesn't even have Mercury listed. What the fuck? It's in the nature of Mars. I'm looking for any information. Nothing. Yes, it's not a very big one. Okay. Then 5 Libra and 0. Oh yeah, also the fact that you have a 0 degree Saturn is like talking about it's talking about like a new karmic cycle. It's like a critical degree. A 0 degree Saturn is very important. So okay, and yeah, how this lifetime, yeah, you're starting like a new cycle, and it's very important. Like your Saturn return. That's why like I'm very curious like to see what that energy is gonna be like. This is gonna be an extremely important time in your life. Like you're gonna have like it's like your Saturn return is gonna be like it's unpredictable what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be so karmic. Whatever does happen, and just know that that thing is karmic. Whatever that thing is, or that energy. It can be good. I don't want to scare you. It could be like you get this amazing job, you meet your lover, you know, you find some crazy thing out. You find a new skill, like you never know, honestly. So yeah. Okay, five Libra. Let me say this: 5 Libra and 0 Pisces and 18 Taurus. So 5 and 18. Okay. Nope. Nothing there. And let's see here. Okay, so with your Jupiter, you have Xenia, and for Jupiter, it says religious and philosophical mind, social success, and many friends. Okay. And midheaven 11 Aquarius. We must always look at the midheaven and the descendant, which is at 12. So 12 Sag and 11 Aquarius. 12 Sag, 11 Aquarius. Okay. So you're close to Antares. You're midheaven. Wait, no. I mean your descendant. Is it 1201? You're just outside the range. Because it's at 240. It's like a 240 orb, and you're at 35. So 15, 13, 15. No, wrong way. Okay, so 946, 230. So basically 1146. Yeah, your MC's or your descendant. Wait, no, I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. I keep telling myself whenever I say I'm stupid that like, and this is another thing for Virgo, that your words are magic. So like I've been like, whenever I say like you idiot, I've been like correcting myself. It's only been the last week I've been doing that. Because like your words are actually magic and they reinforce, things in the body. No, okay, so 1237. 946, 1146. 1216. Okay, it's just in range. No, it's out of range. It's out of range. It's just out of range. 1237 of Antares. And that's like one of the 4 royal stars. That would have been very important. It is in range of Al Waid, your descendant. Let's see if there's probably no information on it. There is not. Yeah, so nothing there. And then 11 Aquarius and 11 Leo. So we're looking at all the angles. Nothing for Leo. And then for Aquarius. Ooh, what's this? Al Bali. Maybe I should take some of those eye drops I got. They're like exactly for what I need right now. where'd it go? Okay, Al Bali. So your midheaven is conjunct it, and basically it is a fixed star that doesn't have any real information. You see, like on one hand, it says it's like, okay, they operate like Saturn and Mercury. Those, okay. So it can be about, you have to watch out for lies, especially like in career. And but like it can really create like good fortune. But you have to watch out for like lies. They can really get you in trouble. Yeah. And music. Oh, here it is. No, not much information on this one. Yeah, so they're not giving us information on this asteroid. I just ordered my two asteroid books, and I'm not going to go into this small one. It's not that important one of one, anyways. So finally, the last one we'll look at is if there's any. 18 Taurus. There's none. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed this long reading. This is probably going to be my last 2-hour reading. I am not going to do any of these anymore. They're too long, but I really did enjoy myself, and I loved all the detail. I knew that a Virgo Mars like you will be able to take it all in and write all the notes. And for our follow-up session, let me just double check that you had one. You see, this is just innocent readings, like you can never, you might wait a while, but I'm going to deliver, and I'm going to give you one that you may have not who, like, you paid $200 for a 2-hour reading with like extreme detail. Sorry to pat my own back, but come on, plus a follow-up, so you're the winner. Anyways, that's kind of a joke, but thank you, and we will touch base soon. I hope you enjoyed the shit out of this. I thought it was a very, very deep reading. All right, bye-bye.